Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're plunging into a subject that sits squarely at the crossroads of our rapidly accelerating AI future, the evolving landscape of work, and, well, the very foundations of how we get our news.
It's a really potent mix.
It absolutely is. It's a truly fascinating and sometimes, yeah, a bit unsettling look at where we might be headed. Have you ever considered what happens when the very people building the future find themselves potentially displaced by it?
That profound question is exactly what we're digging into today. Our source material offers a compelling, and I'd say quite provocative perspective. It's drawn from AI News for Displaced Tech Workers,
Okay.
and this isn't a text that just sort of observes the usual narrative about AI's impact. It actually challenges it quite strongly. It proposes a truly radical, maybe unexpected solution for the news industry itself.
A radical solution.
Interesting. Yeah. So our mission today, really, is to unpack these bold claims, look at the potential implications of this proposed AI-driven news alternative, especially, in the urgent context of large-scale job displacement, and try to understand what it could actually mean for our shared future.
Okay, let's unpack this, because what this source suggests, it sounds like nothing short of a complete paradigm shift, not just for how we work, but for how we consume information, maybe even how we understand our world.
Pretty much.
So prepare for some genuinely surprising facts, I think, and some profound insights that will definitely get you thinking differently. All right, let's dive straight into what our source highlights as a central, almost unbelievable irony here. The profound fact that AI engineers and coders, the very innovators spearheading this whole technological revolution, the architects of this new digital age, they're actually projected to be among the first casualties of its relentless advance.
It's a real twist, isn't it?
It really is. You'd think the builders of such a powerful future would be immune, right? You'd imagine their skills would be endlessly in demand. But the source posits, well, pretty much the opposite. And it presents this as imminent, not some far-off thing.
Indeed. And the source really doesn't pull any punches regarding the timeline or just the sheer scope of this displacement. It states very clearly that in about a year, not a decade, but within one single year, AIs are projected to surpass the intelligence of the vast majority of humans.
Wow, a year.
Yeah. And crucially, it emphasizes that this includes most experts, even within computer science, and highly specialized AI fields themselves.
Even the AI experts.
Even them. And this isn't presented as, some far-fetched sci-fi speculation. The source frames it as the logical progression of exponential growth in computational power and machine learning capabilities.
Right, that exponential curve we keep hearing about.
Exactly. When you consider that compounding nature of tech advancement, how capabilities double and redouble in shorter and shorter intervals, what seems gradual today becomes this massive transformative leap very, very quickly. It's sort of the acceleration built into AI development itself.
That timeline is truly startling, isn't it? About a year. It almost sounds like hyperbole, yet the source insists this is just the stark reality of how these things evolve. So, okay, for those of us maybe not deep in the AI trenches, how exactly will AIs exceed human capabilities in these very specialized roles? What are the specifics, the mechanisms that make this claim seem, well, credible, even if it's unsettling?
Well, the source outlines that AIs will fundamentally surpass us across three key dimensions: efficiency, creativity, and precision.
Okay.
So to give some concrete examples from the text, let's think about a task like red teaming.
Ah, the security testing, right. Finding vulnerabilities.
Exactly. It's a highly specialized area in cybersecurity where experts simulate real-world attacks to find weaknesses before the bad guys do. Traditionally, this takes incredible human ingenuity, right? Deep understanding of adversarial thinking, exploring countless possibilities.
Yeah, it sounds really complex.
It is, but the source argues this whole complex, intuitive process will become, well, routine for AI agents. Imagine an AI that can simulate not just hundreds, but thousands of attack scenarios at once, exploring every conceivable weakness with incredible speed.
Thousands
Yeah.
simultaneously.
Yeah, a human team, no matter how brilliant, just cannot operate at that scale or with that kind of exhaustive analysis.
And it's not just about raw speed, is it? You mentioned precision, too. It's also about accuracy and handling immense complexity without getting tired or making mistakes, which sounds like a definite human limitation.
Precisely. Another really good example they give is debugging complex code bases.
Oh, yeah, the nightmare of every programmer.
Totally. For human coders, tracing one tiny elusive bug through millions of lines of code can be incredibly time-consuming, mentally draining, often really frustrating. You make mistakes, you lose focus, it can take days, even weeks.
There.
Right. So the source paints this picture of an AI that can trace that bug through millions of lines without fatigue or error. It's not just faster calculation, it's a level of sustained precision and comprehensive analysis that's just fundamentally beyond human capacity over long periods.
Okay.
These AI systems can maintain perfect focus, access, and recall huge data sets instantly, apply complex logic flawlessly,
Yeah.
making them just unparalleled at these kinds of analytical, diagnostic, and even generative programming tasks.
And you mentioned creativity. How does that fit in? Is it writing poetry?
Huh. Not exactly. When the source mentions creativity here, it's not about art. It's more about the AI's capacity to generate novel, really optimized solutions to programming challenges. Or maybe designing entirely new software architectures that human minds might not think of as easily, or certainly not as quickly, and without their own biases creeping in.
Right. Creating new, efficient ways to solve problems. Okay, that makes sense. So if this is truly imminent, like the source claims, what does this mean for someone maybe just starting out in tech, fresh out of university, or even for experienced pros who've built their whole careers around coding and AI?
Yeah.
This displacement isn't some distant threat. It's presented as being right around the corner. It could really impact career planning, future prospects. It makes you wonder about the long-term viability of these careers that seem so secure, and in an industry that feels like it's starting to eat its own tail.
It's a really profound question.
Yeah.
And the source emphasizes this isn't just a niche problem for a few roles. It's going to generate a significant cascading ripple effect across the whole tech ecosystem.
The whole thing.
Yeah. It projects this displacement will hit startups, the big tech giants, even the cutting-edge research labs, pretty much everyone. And the stark consequence, as it's described, is that exceptionally talented professionals, people who commanded high salaries, had huge prestige, were at the absolute forefront, they'll find themselves scrambling for relevance.
Scrambling for relevance.
Yeah, in a world that maybe doesn't need their hands-on coding or problem-solving skills in quite the same way anymore. That phrase implies a deep professional, maybe even personal crisis, right?
Yep.
A fundamental erosion of their expertise and identity by the very tech they helped build. It could be a really widespread thing, hitting the heart of the modern economy.
Okay, and this leads us right into the source's particularly sharp critique of how our society, specifically traditional news organizations, are responding, or maybe not responding.
Right.
Because the source doesn't just blame the AI, it turns a really critical eye on the institutions we rely on for information. It brings up that old saying, if it bleeds, it leads, immediately setting the stage for a critique of sensationalism.
That's exactly right. The source argues that this sensationalism, this sort of ingrained, if it bleeds, it leads mindset, actually thrives on amplifying fear and chaos.
Okay.
Goes on to describe how these legacy outlets, especially when talking to new tech grads or people starting in coding, paint this dystopian picture designed to fill you with dread.
Yeah, I've seen those headlines.
Exactly. Focused on mass job losses, economic upheaval, a future where humans are obsolete. The source is pretty blunt about why it thinks this happens. It claims it's not because they aim to inform or empower, but because panic sells.
Panic sells.
That's the argument. In this view, the main driver isn't public enlightenment or constructive discussion. It's driving engagement, clicks, and ultimately revenue by, manipulating emotions and playing on anxieties.
That's a pretty heavy accusation, suggesting they're exploiting fear rather than exploring solutions. But the source takes it further, pointing out what it calls a profound irony in how legacy media treats the very workforce being displaced. How does it unpack that?
It really leans into this profound irony. The source says these established institutions, which it kind of characterizes as being entrenched in outdated models of journalism, show little genuine concern for the soon-to-be displaced AI workforce.
Little genuine concern.
That's the claim. Instead of providing constructive paths forward or advocating for strong safety nets or championing innovative solutions, they often stoke division and delay progress.
Delay progress? How so?
Well, the source frames it not as an oversight, but as an active choice, one that perpetuates anxieties and maybe even contributes to a feeling of helplessness among those affected. Their behavior, according to the source, doesn't guide the public conversation towards practical solutions, but actually makes the problem worse. Perhaps it suggests even for strategic reasons.
That is a strong accusation. But the source goes on to speculate why they might act this way. And it brings in some pretty uncomfortable ideas about the economic structures behind these organizations. It suggests a financial motive.
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
The source posits that the fundamental reason legacy media often shies away from championing really forward-thinking solutions like universal basic income, UBI, or big, robust retraining programs.
Right, things that might actually help.
Exactly. Is because doing so would mean confronting uncomfortable truths about wealth redistribution.
Ah, okay.
UBI, as the source explains, could be a crucial safety net, right? Giving displaced workers a guaranteed income floor so they can transition without losing everything. It will let them explore new roles, maybe pursue creative stuff, contribute in different ways.
Sounds reasonable.
But the source explicitly states that legacy media's core audiences, who it identifies as are often affluent, established professionals and investors, these are the people who would bear the brunt through potential tax increases or salary adjustments needed to fund these big societal programs.
And they're also the ones buying the subscriptions and attracting the advertisers.
Precisely. They're the financial bedrock for many of these news organizations.
So instead of pushing for equity or a proactive approach to this huge societal shift, these outlets, according to the source, prioritize protecting the financial interests of the status quo. They frame something like UBI not as a necessary evolution, but as, what, a handout, an economic burden.
That's exactly the argument being made. It's positioned as self-serving, not public-serving. It's quite a bold claim.
It really is.
And the source elaborates further, saying their coverage consistently skews towards skepticism and fear-mongering, actively slowing the adoption of policies that could mitigate the human cost of AI disruption.
Slowing adoption.
Yeah. And it stresses this isn't just about tech jobs. The source sees this as a systemic failure that ignores the broader societal shifts AI will unleash. It warns that as automation spreads beyond computer science hitting manufacturing, healthcare, transport, creative fields, millions more will face similar fates.
That's a much bigger picture.
Much bigger. The core argument is that, given their profit motives and reliance on certain demographics, these traditional outlets just won't lead the charge for real proactive change. They'll sensationalize the job losses, the economic anxiety, but won't offer viable ways forward. And ultimately, in the source's view, this just perpetuates a cycle of inequality. The huge benefits of AI go to a select few, while everyone else bears the harsh consequences.
Okay, so given that pretty damning critique, if traditional news isn't the answer, what is? The source suggests something truly radical, using AI itself to solve the very disruption it's causing.
Yeah, it's a fascinating twist.
It really is like a philosophical judo move, turning the problem into the solution.
Exactly. The source makes this bold, maybe even audacious claim that AIs are already intelligent enough to supplant the roles of publishers, chief editors, managing editors, copywriters, and even investigative reporters in major legacy news organizations.
Whoa, supplant. Not just assist, but replace.
Replace. That's the claim. It's not about AI as a tool for journalists. It's about AI taking over these critical editorial and journalistic functions entirely, from creating content to strategic oversight. The underlying assumption is that AI's cognitive sophistication is now reaching a point where this isn't just possible, but maybe even more efficient.
That's a massive claim.
Yeah.
Okay, just to clarify for everyone listening, what kind of timeline are we talking about for AI to handle such complex, nuanced roles? And what specific capabilities would they need to actually perform tasks like unbiased reporting or deep investigative work? That seems like a huge leap.
According to the source, the timeline is surprisingly near.
Yeah.
Within a year or two.
A year or two again, wow.
Yeah. It posits that rapid advances in natural language processing, sophisticated data analysis, and these emerging capabilities in ethical reasoning will make AI systems accurate enough to actually outperform humans in essential journalistic tasks.
Outperform humans.
That's the suggestion. It's not just about parsing words. It's understanding deep semantic context, identifying potential misinformation incredibly quickly, cross-referencing vast amounts of data, synthesizing complex info without the human biases that can, unintentionally color reporting.
Yeah.
The key is their ability to process and correlate information at a scale and speed humans just can't match.
Okay, so can you paint a clearer picture? What would this AI actually look like in action, according to the source? How would it do these things we associate with skilled journalists, fact-checking, writing compelling stories?
All right, picture an AI that can instantly cross-reference any claim against not just a few databases, but truly vast databases of information, all in real time.
Real-time fact-checking on a massive scale.
Exactly. A public official says something, a company makes a claim, the AI immediately checks it against millions of documents, historical reports, scientific papers, disparate data points, way beyond what any human could manually check.
Right.
And beyond just facts, it's envisioned as being able to detect subtle biases in narratives, maybe by analyzing word choice, the framing of an issue, even what's strategically left out.
Detecting bias. That's sophisticated.
Very. This allows it to construct a genuinely balanced perspective. And then, based on all that analysis, it can generate balanced stories without the influence of corporate sponsors or political agendas.
Generated stories.
And the source really stresses this isn't far-off science fiction. It explicitly says prototypes of such systems already exist in research labs and open-source projects. You're just waiting to be scaled up and integrated into a proper news organization.
Prototypes already exist. Okay, that changes things. It means the basic tech is there. It's more about refinement and deployment now.
That seems to be the argument. Less about invention, more about integration and strategic implementation for this specific purpose.
So, this isn't just some abstract idea. It's presented as a direct, urgent call to action. The source argues it's high time for this community, the soon-to-be displaced computer engineers, programmers, AI specialists, to basically unite and build an open-source alternative.
Yeah, like a self-rescue mission.
Exactly. Channeling their unique skills into building their own future because the old one might be disappearing.
Precisely. And the source outlines the core characteristics, the mission, of this proposed new AI-driven news org. First, it would be inherently more accurate, using advanced machine learning to eliminate human error and confirmation bias.
Eliminating human error.
Think about it. Even the best human journalists can inadvertently bring in their own perspectives or miss crucial details under pressure. An AI, if designed right and constantly learning, could bypass these limits, providing rigorously checked, internally consistent news.
Okay, accuracy. What else?
Second, it would be fairer, explicitly prioritizing truth over sensationalism, making sure diverse voices are amplified without gatekeeping.
Amplifying diverse voices.
Oh. It means a broader spectrum of viewpoints and experiences could be shared and given weight, not just those approved by a traditional, maybe homogenous editorial board. That fundamentally changes who gets heard and what information gets out there.
Right. More democratic access to the platform. And thirdly, this sounds like the big one.
Yes. The third, and maybe the most distinguishing characteristic, is that it would genuinely care about the plight of displaced workers, not just in tech, but across all sectors.
Genuinely care. How does that translate into action?
Well, it's not just a general warm feeling. The source details how this advocacy would be deeply embedded, like built into its operational DNA. It would make advocacy for UBI, skill retooling initiatives, and equitable AI governance into its core mission.
So the news org itself becomes an advocate.
Yeah. The vision is for this platform to become a powerful voice for the vulnerable, actively educating the public on why we need systemic support in this era of automation, and relentlessly pressuring policymakers to actually do something about AI-driven job disruption. It's proposing a news entity that isn't just reporting passively, but actively shaping the public and political response, trying to turn information into a force for social good.
So what does this mean for you as a consumer of news? Imagine getting your news from a source built from the ground up, not for profit or clicks, but designed specifically to be unbiased and genuinely serve the public good, with an explicit mission to advocate for those most affected by change. That's a very different proposition, isn't it? A radical redefinition of public service journalism.
And a really crucial element in making this happen quickly, the source emphasizes, is the open source paradigm.
Ah, open source, like Linux or Wikipedia.
Exactly. The source highlights the beauty of making this initiative open source is that it accelerates development dramatically. It's not just a preference, it's seen as a strategic, almost revolutionary advantage, essential for its success and speed.
Okay, that's a key point. Explain that a bit more. How does open source speed things up, especially for something as complex as an AI news organization? Are there downsides?
Well, the source draws strong parallels from computer science itself, which, as it points out, pioneered the open source paradigm with projects like Linux and Git. In those worlds, collaboration is second nature.
Right. People contribute for the challenge, for the community.
Exactly. Coders contribute often not for direct pay, but for the joy of creation and the collective good. driven by curiosity, solving problems, building a shared resource. This kind of intrinsic motivation creates this incredibly vibrant ecosystem of constant improvement, rapid iteration.
So you get more brains on the problem, faster.
Thousands, potentially, many of whom would be the very displaced tech workers we're talking about, all contributing their diverse skills and insights to one shared project. The pace of innovation just becomes incomparable to traditional closed-off, top-down development. Bugs get found and fixed faster, new features added quicker. The whole system matures at an extraordinary rate, benefiting from a global talent pool.
But managing that must be chaos, no?
The source suggests that while managing such a large, distributed effort has its challenges, like coordination and quality control, the open source community has developed pretty robust governance models to handle these, making it viable, maybe even superior, for something this ambitious.
So applying this model to news media could mean a fully functional alternative emerges in perhaps a year, rather than dragging on for 5 or more under proprietary constraints.
That's not just a technical detail, it's a philosophical statement, isn't it? About building media based on collective intelligence, transparency, speed, rather than corporate control, building it together. Precisely. And the source acknowledges a crucial transitional phase, a practical step to bridge the gap between current AI abilities and, future perfection.
Okay, what's the bridge?
It notes that until AIs reach the pinnacle of accuracy for sensitive tasks like nuanced fact-checking, where context, ethics, and subtlety are paramount, the community can extend the open-source ethos to include a volunteer network of human fact-checkers.
Ah, human oversight. Like Wikipedia editors? Sort of.
Kind of. It's seen as a strategic interim bridge, not permanent.
So these human fact-checkers would be like a quality control layer, handling the subtleties AI might miss while the AI learns. What motivates them?
Exactly that. The source compares them to hobbyist coders who debug open-source software in their free time, suggesting these volunteers would join in out of passion for truth and community service. Their motivation would be a genuine desire for information integrity, contributing to a better news ecosystem, maybe even a personal stake. This hybrid approach ensures reliability right from the start, especially for the tricky, context-heavy stuff. And, crucially, it provides invaluable training data and real-world feedback to the AI systems.
So the humans train the AI while ensuring quality.
Exactly. A constant feedback loop, letting the AIs learn and mature until they can eventually take over these nuanced tasks seamlessly. It's a very pragmatic step within a revolutionary vision.
Okay, here's where the source really lets its imagination fly, painting this vivid picture of what the AI-powered news future could actually look like. It goes way beyond just replacing journalists, right? It's about transforming the delivery and consumption of news itself.
Yeah, the vision is pretty radical and comprehensive. It starts with replacing human news anchors with customizable AI avatars.
AI news anchors like holograms.
Maybe delivering updates in any language, with perfect poise and without the ego or salary demands of celebrities. Imagine a newscaster that never stumbles on a word, always calm, instantly localized for any audience globally, speaking their language, understanding cultural context, even adapting its presentation style based on what you prefer.
Wow, that shifts the focus entirely to the information, away from the personality cult.
That seems to be the idea. And it doesn't stop there. The source talks about agentic AI journalists.
Agentic AI journalists. That sounds very sci-fi. What does that actually mean?
Yeah, these agentic AIs would handle what the source calls the grunt work of journalism. Basically, the super labor-intensive, repetitive, but vital tasks behind reporting and news gathering.
Like what?
Things like autonomously making phone calls to sources using really sophisticated natural-sounding voice synthesis, scheduling and conducting interviews, maybe even analyzing the tone and truthfulness of answers in real time.
AI conducting interviews.
That's the vision. Also, meticulously analyzing huge amounts of public records, financial disclosures, court documents, legislation, scientific reports, pulling out key insights with unmatched speed and accuracy. And then finally, drafting compelling, unbiased articles from all that data.
Okay, the scale of that.
And the profound difference is these AIs wouldn't tire, wouldn't miss deadlines, and could operate 24/7 across global time zones. It's a complete transformation of the news production process, moving away from human limits of time, energy, bias, into this system of constant global data gathering and reporting.
The efficiency sounds incredible. Limitless, almost. But what about the money? Newsrooms are famously expensive. How does this model deal with that?
That's a huge part of it. The source highlights that the cost savings would be immense. It projects a massive drop in overhead, slashing overhead from multi-million-dollar newsrooms to minimal server maintenance and community moderation.
Minimal server costs instead of skyscrapers full of people.
Pretty much. Think about the huge costs now. Staff salaries, benefits, big offices, complex broadcast gear, global travel. Replacing much of that with efficient AI systems shrinks the financial footprint incredibly. This drastic cost reduction is fundamental to the model, making high-quality journalism potentially self-sustaining and accessible on a scale we've never seen.
Right. Think about all those resources currently tied up in legacy media. The buildings, the massive payrolls, the sheer financial weight. What if that could be reimagined, repurposed? Which leads directly to maybe the most compelling socially responsible part of this vision.
Absolutely. The source spells out exactly how those saved funds could be redirected. It's not just about cutting costs. It's about creating a more ethical, circular economic model.
Okay, how?
Instead of just boosting profits for shareholders, these huge savings could be redirected towards supporting displaced workers.
Directly supporting them.
Yeah. It gives specific examples, perhaps through integrated job boards, AI-assisted career counseling, or even direct aid programs funded by voluntary donations. Imagine AI job boards that don't just list jobs, but actively match displaced workers' transferable skills to new opportunities, even suggesting personalized retraining paths.
AI career counselors.
Exactly. Using vast labor market data to guide people through transitions. It creates this self-sustaining ecosystem where the tech causing the disruption also provides the direct means to support and empower those affected. It's intentionally designed for social good.
That is genuinely innovative. The tech causing the problem funds the solution, turning a negative into a self-correcting, socially responsible system that tries to benefit everyone, not just concentrate wealth.
And the source strongly argues that the people best placed to build this are the computer science and AI engineers facing their own obsolescence. They are uniquely positioned to lead this charge.
Uniquely positioned. Why them specifically? Why not media execs or politicians?
The source gives 3 key reasons. First, obviously, they have the technical expertise to build robust AI systems. They understand the nuts and bolts, machine learning, NLP, distributed systems, data architecture, all crucial.
Makes sense.
Second, and maybe even more critical, they have the foresight to anticipate ethical pitfalls. Because they built these powerful tools, they're acutely aware of potential biases, deepfakes, privacy issues, all the societal consequences AI can bring.
So they know where the dangers lie.
Exactly. This puts them in a unique position to design systems with ethical safeguards built in from the start, not tacked on later. And third, they have the urgency born from personal stakes.
Their own jobs are on the line.
Precisely. That personal investment provides this incredibly powerful intrinsic motivation to build a solution that genuinely addresses displacement and carves out a new purpose for their own skills. This rare mix, deep tech knowledge, ethical foresight, personal urgency, makes them uniquely suited, almost predestined, the source implies, to lead this revolution.
It really is about empowerment, isn't it? Channeling their skills into this mission lets them reclaim agency over their futures, actively shape a media landscape that serves humanity, not exploits it, turning potential personal tragedy into a collective win.
Exactly. And the source concludes with a truly powerful, really bold prediction about legacy media's future. It asks us to imagine a world where in a year or two, giants like the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, Fox News, and CNN fade into irrelevance.
Fade into irrelevance in just a year or two. That's drastic.
It is. Not a slow decline, but a rapid shift. It uses the analogy, much like horse-drawn carriages gave way to automobiles.
Okay, a complete technological overthrow. The old model just gets outmoded, replaced by something better, faster, more relevant.
That's the picture. The source suggests traditional media, burdened by legacy costs, old structures, profit motives, simply won't be able to compete with a truly open-source, AI-powered, unbiased, socially missioned news entity.
And in their place, what rises from the ashes, according to the source? What kind of press emerges?
In their place, the source envisions a press truly of the people, by the people and for the people, powered by AI systems designed to uplift, inform, and protect us all.
Uplift, inform, and protect.
Yeah. It's not just replacing old media, it's fundamentally redefining the purpose and ownership of news. A media landscape that's inherently transparent, rigorously unbiased, actively working for the public good, especially safeguarding those affected by tech change. Imagine news tailored to help you grow, early warnings for societal problems, unbiased data empowering better decisions, collective and individual.
So it's not just survival for tech workers. The source says it's evolution. Building this AI alternative lets them turn potential tragedy into triumph, fostering a society where innovation benefits everyone.
Exactly. The source ends with this powerful, almost urgent call. The tools are at hand, the need is pressing, and the community is ready. Let's seize this moment to redefine news media, ensuring it becomes a force for good in an AI-dominated era. It frames this as a unique, historic chance for profound societal transformation.
Wow, okay. This deep dive has truly laid bare a vision where the very forces of disruption advanced AI are actually proposed as the architects of a more equitable, more informed, maybe even more humane future. We've covered the imminent displacement of tech workers, the source's sharp critique of legacy media's perceived failures, and this audacious proposal for an AI-powered, open-source news organization built by the people affected. It's a lot to take in.
It absolutely is.
Hmm.
This deep dive has explored a future where information isn't just produced differently, but where its very structure and purpose prioritize different values, shifting from profit and sensation to advocacy and broad societal support. And this raises a really important question for all of us, I think. If something as fundamental as news can potentially be reimagined and built by the people most directly affected by technological change, what other industries might benefit from a similar ground-up, AI-powered reimagining, driven by similar principles of collective good and empowerment?
That's a fascinating question to end on. We hope this deep dive has given you plenty to think about as you navigate this rapidly changing world. Thank you for joining us on the deep dive.